Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Good afternoon, Senate Finance and our guests. It is Tuesday, March 28th, and I'm sure everyone knows that we have members presenting bills across the street in the House. And so, but we're going to go ahead and get started and invite the rest of our committee to watch your hearings via the YouTube channel that is dedicated to Senate Finance hearings. We are having sponsor-only primarily hearings today. I'm not going to read the order of bills that we're going through. I'm going to just start with the couple of delegates who I see here. So we'll start with House Bill 258. Delegate Arntz, good afternoon.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank you for having taking the opportunity to hear our bill. Today, I'm going to present a local bill. It's a cleanup bill from something we did last year, but we did add a couple amendments to it to bring on another county. It's for House Bill, for the record, Delegate Steve Arntz, House Bill 258, Queen Anne's County, alcoholic beverages license residency requirement. We've added Caroline County onto this bill because they have a similar situation. In the past, Queen Anne's County's always had our license procedure was you had to go out and get 15 signatures to sponsor getting an alcoholic a liquor license. What we found, and with the economy changing and how the businesses are changing, we're not able to have it. It was a local thing where you had to be a resident of the county to get a liquor license. We've actually changed that, and we have further modified it to make it an in-state name, somebody a resident in-state, trying to keep the businesses local to Queen Anne's County. I'm looking for a favorable response. I have support letters from the county commissioners from both counties and my delegation. Looking for a favorable response.
Thank you very much. We've heard similar bills, so we thank you for your testimony. Seeing no questions from the committee, that concludes the hearing on House Bill 258.
Thank you.
We'll turn now to House Bill 670, which is a Harford County delegation bill regarding stadium licenses annual fee. Delegate Johnson, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman and members of the Senate Finance Committee. It's my first time over here this year, so it's nice to come and visit with you guys. All right, I'm Steve Johnson, here to present House Bill 670, Alcoholic Beverage Stadium License Annual Fee. This bill reduces Ripken Stadium alcohol fee from $10,000 to $4,000 per year. You should have in your packet a schedule of fees that demonstrate around the state the Ripken Stadium is paying virtually 5 times the amount that any other stadium its size pays. Ripken Stadium has 5,800 seats and 81 home games. They pay $10,000. Other stadiums of Ripken Stadium size and larger pay $2,000 to $2,400. What we're asking is to reduce the fee to $4,000, which is still almost twice of what every other stadium their size pays in the state. We do have a letter of opposition from the Liquor Board that went on the House side, and I'd like to speak to that for just a second. That bill, the opposition letter, was a little misleading because it compared Ripken Stadium to licenses in Baltimore City and Prince George's County, but the license that they compared them to was a $12,000 fee, but that was for the Orioles and the Camden Yards and the M&T Bank Stadium, which the Orioles have almost 46,000 seats. And you know, there's a lot more money in professional baseball. And M&T Stadium was 71,000 seats. The other one they compared it to was Prince George's County, but that was the FedEx Field. Their fee's $21,780, but they have 82,000 seats. And again, a professional baseball stadium. You cannot hardly compare professional stadiums to minor league baseball stadiums. So that was a little misleading. What they did not compare it to was the minor league baseball team in Prince George's County, which is $2,400. So I just wanted to clear that up. When we compare our fees in Harford County to other fees in the state, we see that we're a little skewed. This bill in its current form passed with unanimous vote in the committee and on the House floor last year, and this year committee vote was unanimous. and it was a delegation bill. The floor vote was 135-1. For these reasons, I would ask for a favorable report. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. I don't see any questions for the sponsor. I had one and you captured it when you said similar to the Bowie Bay Sox Stadium.
Okay.
So thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much.
So
Nice to
that-
be here.
Good to have you. That'll conclude the hearing on House Bill 670. Okay, we have next on our list House Bill 1058, which is another Hartford County alcoholic beverage bill. Delegate Riley. Good
Thank you.
afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chair Griffith and members of the Finance Committee. Happy to be here. So for the record, I am Delegate Teresa Riley, the Chair of the Hartford County Delegation, and also represent District 35A, here to introduce HB 1058, Hartford County Alcoholic Beverage Class B HTF, which is Hatchet Throwing Facility License. This bill would establish a Class BHTF license. The license would enable certain hatchet throwing facilities to sell beer and wine at a retail, at retail to their, and consumed on their premises. The license holder is open to the public, has 7 hatchet throwing pits, can sell beer and wine Monday through Sunday from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. And that's with the proposed amendment. Not transferable, subject to alcohol awareness training requirements, shall purchase beer and wine from an authorized and licensed wholesaler only, shall provide packaged snacks for purchase during the beer and wine sales. The annual fee is $7.50. And all of the Hartford County liquor licenses, when they go before the Hartford County Liquor Control Board, they do have a requirement that they have to follow all of the food service requirements. I do respectfully request for a favorable report for HB 1058 with the amendment to alter the time of service as a Hartford County delegation bill. Take notice that this is supported by the Hartford County delegation, is also supported by the Senate delegation with the amendment. We have the votes in the House for that amendment as well, and is also supported by the Hartford County Liquor Control Board. And I do want to mention that we did receive late in the game, which they apologize for getting it to me late, from the Maryland Department of Health, and a recommendation to add an amendment. So I'll, leave it up to this committee, whatever you feel is necessary to do. But I do want to point out that Hartford County, as you know, this is, the committee that deals with alcohol bills. So, we have 24 jurisdictions that have our own regulations, our own codes in each jurisdiction. So Hartford County has this Hartford County Liquor Control Board Rules and Regulations booklet. As you can see, all throughout here, and I noted two tabs, already within our code during the application process. They actually put in here, applicants must have approval from the health department, fire marshal, planning, zoning, and a copy of certificate of occupancy permit prior to even going to the hearing. To get their license for whatever purpose. Also another section, 3.8, compliance with Hartford County Health Department regulations is a whole section. It says a license holder shall comply with the regulation governing eating and drinking establishments by the Maryland State Department of Health and Mental Hygiene and Hartford County Health Department, including but not limited to just some of the things they mentioned. So, all of the packaged goods, that we're talking about in this bill, and I know they also sent the same letter on our 2 cross-file bills that passed ECM and also passed this committee. They recommended that same amendment to that. So I guess I would have, and I know that they're not going to have hearings because they were cross-filed and they're identical. But that, just to let you know, I'll let you, decide. But pretty much, I believe in Hartford County, we have this covered already currently in law. And what this will do is just add, clutter and more words to every one of our liquor bills going forward, if it's dealing with, liquor and food, which we know all liquor bills do have food involved. So that's up to you all to kind of look that over. So thank you so much. And I'm hopefully that you will, give this bill a good report and get her passed. So thank you very much, and I'll be happy for any questions.
Thank you. Senator Guile.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Delegate, for your presentation. So I'm not so much concerned about the food and the
Mhm.
liquor, and as much as I'm concerned about the hatchets
Okay.
and the liquor. So I guess what are there any kind of safety requirements or anything like that in the bill as far as, you know, can somebody be throwing the hatchets, holding a drink, or is it separated, or what, you know?
Yeah.
As you can imagine, there's
Right.
there's
There are-
a little bit of concern about it. I trust people are adults and doing it and hopefully making good
Gotcha.
decisions, but
Yes,
Yeah.
currently in the state of Maryland, we do have other counties that do have this particular licenses and they are operating. We actually did an interim tour down in Allegheny County and went to a location. And, you know, so I saw it firsthand there and how they operated, and it, you know, very safe. You know, surroundings, the location that we're talking about here in Harford County, it does have 7 pits, and I say a pit because they're actually individual lanes. So, you know, this person's not, you know, coming over and you don't have the crowd coming up to you because they're kind of secluded. So they're individual lanes. This particular place actually has someone there watching you at all times. And when the place that we went to in Allegheny County, same thing. There's always some type, what they call him, trainer. So there's always a staff person there to kind of overlook, to make sure you're doing it right. And also to kind of help you. You know, most people that go to these, you know, it's like their first time or whatever, they're generally there for like an hour or so. We're in Harford County, we're close to APG. So we have a lot of military APG that come and use the facility, you know, for off time entertainment. So it's very safe. They do have, if you go online of the places that are currently, you know, operating in the state of Maryland, they do right online on their websites. They have, you know, different rules that you have to follow. So it is kind of, you know, restricted. It's just not like, you know, people drinking and someone right next to you having a drink and just throwing an axe.
sure.
It's, you know, and like I said, it's really enclosed. So even if that, you know, the axe like pops, it's not going to go outside of the pit. It's very, very safe. And we, even in the state of Maryland, we currently have, my understanding, we actually have, you know, temporary axe throwing events that, you know, businesses have, and they move and around about the state, and they're at our festivals, you know, and that's outside. So, but, you know,
Mhm.
I know this facility that I'm talking about right now, and going forward, because this bill sets out that it has to be within pits and, you know, included, and 7 and so on and so forth. So
And thank you for that. I mean, you know, we have at least one like axe throwing place in Anne Arundel County, but they minors, they don't have a liquor license.
Mhm.
But so I mean, you mentioned that they're all following proper safety protocol, these businesses are, and I appreciate that. I'm just wondering, is there anything in the bill that establishes any sort of safety requirements for them?
no, the only thing the bill requires is that they have to be individual lanes, individual pits to kind of keep the safe, which I think that is part of a safety feature. And again, the business itself has a trainer and follows, you know, but not in the actual bill do we lay out each, you know, safety event. So,
Okay, all right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you,
You're
Madam
welcome.
Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Just a quick question, Delegate. I do note your you've pointed out the regulations that you have locally. If you could just send us a copy of that page where you
Okay.
have the regulations, and
Okay.
that shows it's kind of
happy to do that.
duplicative to adopt the health department's recommended language. That would be great. And just want to follow up on Delegate Giles' question. Do
Mhm.
you know of any other jurisdiction that has alcohol plus hatchet throwing? Do we know of other play? I may
yeah.
have missed it, but
Yes, there are. We have one in Cecil County. We have one in Allegheny County. There's one in Baltimore County. So,
wow.
yeah.
I just learned about
Yes.
pickleball a few weeks ago, and now I got people throwing hatchets and having a Bud Light okay,
Yes,
Michelob
so.
Ultra on the side. Okay. Thank
Okay.
you very much. I don't
Thank
see
you,
any
and I'll get that
additional
information to
questions.
you.
Thank you very much. So we have one additional Harford County bill, that's House Bill 1062, alteration of license quota. Delegate Griffith. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and offering the bill on my behalf will be my Chief of Staff, Shariah Yousefi. Is that acceptable? Thank you.
Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. It's great to be here today. As he shared, I'm Shariah Yousefi, the Chief of Staff for the delegate. I'm here today to request a favorable report on HB 1062, Harford County Alcoholic Beverages Alteration of License Quota. This bill is very simple. All it does is changes the ratio of population for a Class A license from 3,000 to 4,000 individuals. It does have the support of the Harford County delegation. It was voted out of the House unanimously, and today the committee did receive a letter of support from the Harford County senators. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, that concludes the hearing on House Bill 1062.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. We're going to move to, I see that Delegate Jazz Lewis is here, so we have some Prince George's bills. I only see you though, Delegate, but you can come forward and present your bill if you're ready. It is House Bill 436.
Yes, ma'am. For the record, Delegate Jazz Lewis, here on behalf of House Bill 436. It's good to see many friends in the room. Thank you for the opportunity to testify in support of House Bill 436 to establish a development district around Prince George's Blue Line corridor, allowing restaurants to get licenses to sell beer and wine. This will ensure that those restaurants who decide to locate in the area will be able to set up businesses without having to wonder if they will be able to secure a liquor license for beer and wine for their patrons. Last year, we authorized a bond initiative of $400 million to invest in this historically disadvantaged community. By developing, investing, and attracting new businesses, we are set to uplift the communities along the Blue Line corridor into the gateway of our nation's capital. That will help us move closer to that goal. We want to ensure that restaurants who choose to open in these areas are assured of their ability to sell beer and wine. This bill seeks to add some certainty for those who plan to move there. This bill was also amended in the House to allow liquor stores in the area where there's an over proliferation of these establishments to move to other places in the county, as long as there isn't another one within a mile radius. This is to help us lessen density over time where it makes good sense for business. We also added an amendment to allow for a restaurant outside the Capitol Beltway to have an off-sale license, so long as it is also located at least 1 mile from any other liquor store in any direction. This bill not only will help us promote development and foster new businesses along the Blue Line corridor, but also tackle the over-proliferation of liquor stores throughout our county. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I have to say on the record, I'm a big fan of this bill and the work that's being done to promote businesses locating in the Blue Line corridor. And so I thank you for presenting this bill. And I know that the Senate delegation has already voted unanimously to support it, and I see the letter in the file. One issue did come up during the hearing, and I just raise it now, maybe for future conversation, but did the House consider it all B+ licenses in terms of locating near other entities in that transfer provision that you did?
Yeah, so it did not come up during the House conversation, but we have heard from particularly one store owner who's really nervous about stores moving towards them. And I told them hopefully not to risk this bill this year, because we've worked many years to move on this, but I would happily work with them next year to add something if it's the will of the body to help them.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you very much. I don't see any questions from the committee, so we thank you for your presentation.
Have a good day on purpose. Thank you.
That concludes the hearing on HB 436. I think we have a representative here from Howard County. Is someone here? Okay. We already did. We completed the Harford County bill hearings, correct? Oh, okay, that'll come in shortly. Okay, so we have, looks like 1, 2, 3 Howard County delegation bills that you're prepared to present.
Yeah, is it okay if I just go through all 3 of them in one
It
go?
is okay if you would pause in between them so I can see if there are any questions.
Sure.
Okay.
So good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the Finance Committee. My name is Abby Rubling. I'm a legislative aide to Senator Lamb, and I'm presenting House Bills 146, 158, and 218 on behalf of the Howard County House and Senate delegation. All 3 of these bills should have letters of support from the House and Senate delegation, and they are all supported by the Howard County Liquor Board. House Bill 146 removes the requirement that the Board of License Commissioners hold a hearing for a license holder applying for a change of resident agent when the applicant wants to become the resident agent for the same license that they currently hold and has already appeared before and been approved by the board. The bill still gives the board the ability to hold a hearing if they determine there is good cause. Essentially, this bill will relieve the board of the burden of unnecessary hearings and allow for the easy replacement of a resident agent. I think that Baltimore, Montgomery, and Prince George's counties already do the same. We ask for a favorable report. Are there any questions?
Thank you very much. Any questions on this bill? Okay, seeing none, you can proceed to the next bill.
House Bill 158 alters the residency requirement so that a resident of the state rather than only the county meets the requirement. Currently, at least one applicant must be a resident of the county. Historically, this was justified by the need for the board to be able to reliably contact a party. However, today parties can be easily contacted in a multitude of ways, which kind of makes this more or less obsolete.
Okay, any questions on House Bill 158? Seeing none, that concludes that hearing. We can move to the next bill.
And finally, House Bill 218 repeals the requirement that applicants include a petition of support in their applications. Currently, an applicant must also submit a petition signed by 3 people who own property and are registered to vote in the election district where the business wants to operate. The system has historically been unreliable and is unnecessary given the thorough background checks that applicants must undergo. If I'm not mistaken, I think Anne Arundel, Baltimore, Montgomery, and Prince George's counties do not require that similar petition.
Thank you. Any questions on House Bill 218? Seeing none, thank you very much. That concludes the bill hearings on Howard County delegation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we're going to go to, let's go ahead and do the Frederick County delegation. There are 2, 4, 6, 7 bills. Are you doing all 7?
Yes, ma'am.
Fantastic. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I will be as fast as you want me to be, if that's helpful. Do you want me to just go in order of the, okay. So Delegate Pippi, for the record, on behalf of the Frederick County delegation, we have 7 bills. So the first bill, House Bill 644, is a golf simulator facility license. It just permits somebody to have beer, wine, and liquor in conjunction with a golf simulator, kind of like a Dave and Buster's type setup. It was supported unanimously by the delegation, both the House and the Senate. Obviously, it passed the House, ECM, and the floor. There is a letter from the Health Department, but I want to point out, and I had a good conversation with the administration. Apparently, they were not aware that it already is state law that every license in Frederick County has to comply with the Health Department. So again, an amendment at this point would also be duplicative, and I can provide the committee with the current law. And I did inform the administration that, and they apologize for kind of getting involved at the halfway point. So.
Great. Any questions on House Bill 644? No hatchets or axe throwing at
that
your
one's
golf-
coming.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
That one's coming. It is. We got one of those. House Bill 679, display a license. This just removes the requirement in Frederick County that your license has to be displayed behind glass. And that would enable them to instead display it behind plexiglass or plastic. So it's a very controversial bill, as you can see, big stuff, but also supported by the delegation unanimously. The Senate and the House passed the House committee, passed the House, and we appreciate a favorable from the committee. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. See no questions. That concludes the hearing on House Bill 679. Next bill.
Okay, HB 939, this adjusts the Sunday hours. So currently in Frederick County, you are permitted to sell between 6 a.m. and 2 a.m. Monday through Saturday. This would make Sunday hours the same. And that also, again, has, support of the liquor board, the delegation, the House, and the committee, et cetera. Appreciate your consideration on that bill.
Hey, any questions on this Sunday sales bill? Seeing none, thank you very much. That concludes the hearing on 939.
HB 989, similar to the golf simulator license, this is a miniature golf course license. It would permit beer, wine, and liquor. Also, there was a letter from the Health Department in line with the last bill. And just for the record, in Frederick County, state law already requires you to comply with the Health Department, and we feel that that amendment would be duplicative as well. And I appreciate your consideration on this bill.
Okay, any questions? Thank you. That concludes the hearing on House Bill 989.
And your favorite bill, HB 990, the hatchet throwing. And I want to point out something that was not said before. So currently, they're already permitted to drink at this facility. So in Maryland, as you know, given your oversight over alcohol, it's a BYOB. So one thing that could be a benefit in this scenario is that this would provide some oversight. I previously was the chairman of the liquor board in Frederick County. And one of the things that is required is that the liquor board has to establish safety measures to ensure that there is no excessive drinking, no one is overserved, no one is served under the age of 21. And as I understand it, these facilities, it's similar to darts, except that they have corridors and walls in between. So it's not like it's an open facility. They're kind of secluded to like a chamber. And so the person that is actually with the hatchet is by themselves, kind of like in a chamber with walls on each side of them. So it's safer. I always say they're not throwing them at each other. They're, but I can answer any questions about that if you guys have any.
Vice Chair said she would maybe consider throwing it at someone.
And
So
we would love
unlike,
to have you out for it.
unlike the previous bill, they talked about pits. So it sounds like yours is like,
They're
wall.
pits.
Okay,
And it's a pit, but it's not like down. It's just similar to like if you picture a bowling alley, except with walls up. And so each bowling lane has walls on both sides that would kind of prohibit an axe, going astray, so to speak. So if you picture a bowling alley with walls, one person forward, and then obviously our liquor board will ensure that there's safety measures in place and they're under the purview of inspections and all that stuff as well.
has everybody else seen one of these but me? Like,
Yeah.
okay. They're teasing me on the pickleball thing. They're
Yeah.
killing me.
And I invite this committee to come out on me and you guys can come play in Frederick.
Wow, well,
when-
there you go.
Should you pass this? Just kidding.
All
Just
right,
kidding,
see,
just
no further
Just
questions.
kidding,
That
just kidding.
concludes the hearing on House Bill 990. We'll go to the next bill.
So 991 is basket of cheer. This bill would actually remove the requirement that only alcohol that's manufactured in Maryland be permitted to be allowed in a basket of cheer. And so this again usually is for the benefit of nonprofits. So it just removes the requirement that the alcohol has to be manufactured in Maryland to be allowed to be in the basket of cheer. And again, in line with all the other bills, the liquor board was in support, the delegation, the Senate, the House, et cetera. We appreciate your consideration.
Thanks. Questions on House Bill 991? No questions. That concludes that hearing. Next bill.
And the final bill is HB 997. It's a consumption permit. So Class A establishments are permitted to allow tastings. And in Frederick County, there was some ambiguity into the amount of tastings they were allowed to provide. This bill clarifies that the combination. So for example, if a Class A, like a liquor store, had a day where they allowed you to taste a little bit of beer, a little bit of wine, it just says that the total amount cannot exceed a certain amount of alcohol. So it's for safety purposes. It's clarifying in nature. But we also ask for a favorable on that. If there's any questions.
Okay, I see no questions from the committee, so that concludes the hearing on House Bill 997. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Colleagues will now turn to House Bill 784, which is a Prince George's delegation bill. Delegate Charles, the chair of the Prince George's House delegation, and delegate representing Legislative District 25. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Madam Senator, Madam Chair, the leader of the District 25 team. Keep on coming with it. No, but I'm happy to be here before you all today on behalf of House Bill 784, the Prince George's County Alcoholic Beverage Class B Beer, Wine, and Liquor License Inspection, Penalties, and Work Group Bill. This bill comes from a bunch of meetings I've had over the few years with about 15 businesses that came to address various concerns. And this bill was voted out of the Prince George's County House Delegation, the Economic Matters Committee, Liquor Committee, full ECM and full House unanimously. And this is the work product of a compromise that came from the County Executive's Office, the Liquor Board, and the County Council and the business community with this particular issue. What this bill specifically does is in order to allow our local clubs to be on par and compete with surrounding jurisdictions in the Washington metropolitan area, this will allow for them to do bottle service, which is the sale of bottles inside of a club. 2, it makes it clear without limiting inspections what inspections are done for, and in no way does this bill limit inspections for the liquor board. It allows for them to do their job and do it effectively. Number three, it now lays out a timeline of 5 business days for the inspectors to provide a report to the licensee on the results of the inspection. Number four, it has the liquor board publish an annual list of the total number of inspections conducted on each licensed premise. And number five, establish a standard fine structure for violations. And finally, number six, it creates a work group to study the best practices for safe event promotion in Prince George's County, which will be meeting in the interim. And so this bill, like I said, came from the business community that had some issues and concerns in terms of how inspections were done. This now lays out what are actual inspections, what the fine structure is, and allows for them to get a report within 5 business days after the inspection is done.
Okay, are there any questions on House Bill 784? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. That concludes the hearing on that bill.
All right.
Have a good afternoon.
Thank you, madam.
I understand that someone is here to present House Bill 946, a Prince George's County Delegation Mary Lehman bill. Victor Oliveira,
Correct.
good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, Chair Griffith, Vice Chair and members of the Finance Committee. For the record, I'm Victor Oliveira on behalf of the Office of the Delegate Mary Lehman and the Prince George's County Delegation. Here to ask for favorable support for HB 946, Prince George's County Alcoholic Beverages Main Street Law Development. This bill authorizes 5 class development district licenses for Main Street in the city of Laurel. These are beer, wine, and liquor licenses. The vision of the Laurel Mayor and the City Council is to revitalize the Main Street area to create a more vibrant district where there are more restaurants and entertainment venues, including a comedy club. A thriving Main Street would also allow residents to stay closer to home and get out with their neighbors while enjoying a nice meal or even in entertainment. The bill that passed the House includes an amendment for the city to better define the boundaries outlined in the original bill. And I ask you for your favorable support and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. There are no questions from the committee, so that concludes the hearing on House Bill 946. Thank you
you.
for your testimony. Okay, do we have anyone here for the Montgomery County bills? No, we're going to have to take a quick pause. We do have a few folks on, we already did yours. Your staff came and presented them. Yep. You want to do them again though? Just, okay.
She did a wonderful job.
She did. Okay, so we'll just wait for someone here on the last 2 bill. Well, we actually have 2 Montgomery County bills and 1 Prince George's bill that we're waiting. Perfect. Okay, continuing with our bill hearings, you can come on up, Senator. We're going to hear House Bill 438, which is a Prince George's delegation bill. Good afternoon, Senator Watson.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and colleagues. I have the easiest bill for you of the day. Last year, we passed HB 897, which created a sports entertainment facility, which covers minor league stadiums. In Prince George's County, we have the Bowie Bay Sox team, which was facing a closure because of the upkeep. Well, because of this bill and the Maryland Stadium Authority, we were able to funnel very important cash flow into that stadium. And now we seek to make that stadium something year-round that we can attract residents to, that can be that economic engine we want it to be. So this bill simply changes their current liquor license from beer and light wine to beer, wine, and liquor. That is the bill, and I ask your favorable support.
Thank you, Senator. There are no limitations on the number of days that this license would be able to operate, are there?
No, not on this one.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, any additional questions? Senator Ellis?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a great stadium also, so I'm really interested in this bill and competition for your stadium. So I have a quick question.
There's always one.
Always one. So quick question. So this is for like on-site consumption, or they can do bottles and stuff?
No, this is on-site consumption.
On-site.
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Seeing no additional questions from the committee, that concludes the hearing on House Bill 438.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, we still have two Montgomery County bills that we're waiting on, so we'll have to wait again. Okay, so we're going to read into the record and have a hearing on House Bill 277, which is a Montgomery County delegation bill. This bill 277 basically clarifies that the holder of a Class B BWL, which is a clubhouse or lodge license in Montgomery County, that is issued a Class 7 brewery license, is not subject to the general license restrictions on holders of Class 7 microbrewery licenses. The bill comes to us with a letter of support from the Montgomery County delegation, and we do have one witness signed up in opposition to the bill. And so we will say good afternoon to our witness and invite you to give your testimony before Senate Finance. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, guys. Thank you for letting me speak today on behalf of the MSLBA and the Montgomery County Retailers Association. My name is Arash Tafakur. My family owns and operates two businesses in Montgomery County. This bill that the Montgomery County delegation is saying is a clarification bill from last year's bill. Last year's bill allowed Montgomery County to create this. They created this bill last year that allows Montgomery County to have their brewery and winery in their Poolsville project, which is a part of the Montgomery County Revenue Authority. This year's bill lifts a restriction that they say it's a clarification bill that lifts a restriction that no other alcohol licensee in the state is granted to when it comes to having multiple licenses. I hope you're following me. I know it's a little difficult, but basically at the end of the day, this gives Montgomery County lifts a restriction that's been going on for decades that allows them to have multiple licenses. And right now the restriction doesn't allow them to have multiple licenses or have any kind of financial interest in other licenses. So that lifts that restriction. When it comes to the county, us licensees are already at an incredible disadvantage when it comes to alcohol sales. What I asked the finance committee to do to amend this to limit this license that they passed last year to only the Poolsville project. If that doesn't happen, then they can have this license that they had last year and any golf course or anything that the Montgomery County Revenue Authority is in charge of. And that just creates a huge disadvantage for local stores, local wineries, and local breweries.
Well, we thank you for your testimony, and we definitely will take that into consideration. And just so I know, you started your testimony, you gave an acronym of a group that you represented.
So we're the Montgomery County Retailers License Association, and then we're an affiliate of the MSLBA, the Maryland State Licensed Beverage Association.
Okay. Well, we are at a disadvantage. As you know, we're kind of proceeding with your hearing with the sponsor presenting a bill in another committee at this time. But the committee will take your testimony into consideration and definitely follow up with the bill's sponsor.
Right. Well, so the bill sponsor has, if you can, they have a written explanation. So if you read that, they're basically saying that last year's bill did not allow them to hold multiple licenses, right? So they already had the golf courses already had 9 licenses. They had a Class H license, and what they're saying is that if they give this license to one of those to the Poolsville project, then they're not allowed to hold those other licenses. That is not true. They are allowed. Last year's bill allows them to do exactly what they want to do, which is that Poolsville project that allows them to own and operate a government-run brewery and winery. If that's all they want to do, then there is no reason to change or clarify anything. My suspicion is that they want to use this license in multiple locations, and that is something that I am very opposed to.
Understood. Are there any additional questions for this witness? Okay, seeing none, we thank you very much for your testimony. Thanks for being a part of our hearing, and that will conclude the hearing on House Bill 277. Colleagues will now turn to House Bill 345, which is also a Montgomery County delegation bill. This bill passed unanimously through the Montgomery County delegation. It is to alter the membership of the Montgomery County Alcoholic Beverage Services Advisory Board, or ABS, and allows designees of the directors of ABS and the Montgomery County Department, allows designees of the ABS and Montgomery County Police Department as specified. Again, the bill passed unanimously through the Montgomery County Senate delegation, and there is no opposition signed up on this bill. Are there any questions? Okay, that concludes the hearing on House Bill 345. And that is our final bill hearing for today. We will take a 5-minute break. We're going to take up a few bills in a voting session.
Is this one there?